Hello, it's Tina Pally, aka the Crafty Princess and Doll Collector, and this is another dolly slash crafting video where I'm going to explain how I make these cute little knit loom hats for Blythe dolls. They will also fit more than likely the American Girl dolls because they have about the same head size from what I've heard. And any of those sort of 18-inch size type dolls, there's a number of them from various manufacturers. Like I know Madame Alexander has a similar doll. You can find them on, oh, that's my cat. Thank you, Lola. You can find these types of dolls at stores like Walmart and Target and Toys R Us. But so any of those type of large head dolls that are similar size to the Blythe, this little hat's going to fit. And let me just put this out there that for those who want to go thumbs up downing on me or complain that this is not teaching you how to make the hat, this is not the intention of this video to actually teach you how to knit loom. Alright, there are a gajillion videos on YouTube that already explain the basics of how to use a knit loom. I'm just telling you how I made these little hats. Okay, just kind of a quick and dirty. If you want to learn the basics of how to use a knit loom, I suggest watching some how-to videos that explicitly show you how. And also when you purchase them, more than likely there's going to be some sort of booklet or instruction sheet or book of some kind with instructions as well. And they all can vary a teeny bit depending on the structure of the loom. So anywho, this is how the hat is going to end up looking for the most part, depending on the size that you use and that sort of thing. I will put the name of the loom that I use. It's a particular brand that's fairly popular, and it's available in most craft stores. You can also get it on Amazon. I've seen it in Amazon as well. Just to give you, if you've never even seen a knit loom, which is hard to believe, but this is a big, humongous knit loom. This is the largest loom in a set of 4 that I purchased. And this already has something on it, but this is the smallest loom. And this is the one that I used to make the Blythe hats. The smallest loom in this set of 4 that I purchased has 24 pegs, and the from the width of it, the diameter from here to here, is about 5.5 inches wide. Okay, so you would want to purchase something similar. Most of the looms I have seen are this type with the big. They require very thick yarn, either bulky or super chunky. Or in this case, you can see with this hat, I used 2 strands of worsted weight, which is a number 4. Yarn is very inconsistently sized, so you kind of have to try out different types. And it depends on how thick you want your hat to be as well, but most of these looms that have the pegs like this require, or they'll say, to use bulky weight yarn. Just to show you a difference between using super thick, where I used either bulky weight, or in this case I used 2 strands to make this, of worsted weight. You can see this is quite thick. If I pull it way apart, you can see the holes, but not very easily. This yarn and this yarn I used for this, exactly the same yarn. This one I used 2 strands, this one I used 1 strand. Here's the 1 strand. If I pull it apart, you can see the holes much easier. But if I put it on the doll, I'll ask her to model these 2 different hats. There's not a huge difference as visually. So if you want to use 1 strand, that's really not a problem. Here's the 1 strand hat. And here is the double strand hat. So it kind of just depends on what you want to do. One of the nice things about the double strand hat is that you can add colors. So like I used 2 strands, and I used 2 different colors to create a different look to the hat. Alright, so at a minimum, to make a little hat like this, you will need yarn of your choice. Like I said, at least worsted or bulky weight. Anything lighter than a single worsted, it will be very thin. So mostly, in fact, if you're just not a yarn person at all, probably the easiest thing for you to do is buy something like Red Heart Super Saver for this. That's not particularly my favorite type of yarn, but it's a good beginning, inexpensive yarn to go with for something like this. So you'll need the yarn, you'll need the little loom, okay, You will need scissors, of course, and you will also need a darning needle. It's just basically it's a big-eyed, heavy-duty needle. Most of these supplies can be purchased at general craft stores. Again, Amazon will have them if you don't have any craft stores in your area. Even Walmart, I have seen some of these, so you know, they're pretty easy to get to. Just generally the way a loom works, you can see I have yarn wrapped around the pegs of the loom, and this is, I have 2 strands here, so this is one time around. If you were going to keep going and going, you would want to, you'd have to have another strand. I'll just do a couple just to show you an example. All right, so you'd have, so notice how there's down here and up here. Let me hold my hand like this. Yeah. All right, that's better. So you can see here's 2 strands, two wraps. The reason why you have to have 2 wraps is because basically that's what you're doing. You're weaving, weaving, weaving. You also have to have this little tool, which something like this comes usually with your set when you purchase them. And this is used to, get it in there. There's little grooves in the pegs. You put this in there, you pull it over the peg, okay? And then you just go around and around and around and around and around and around. And the little loom works very similar to the big loom. It's just if you want a really big honkin' huge hat, you use a big loom. For like a big dude would use this. Teeny little preemie baby hat, you would use this. Or dolly hat, you would use this. There are 2 other, in this particular set that I purchased, there were 2 other sizes that came with it. So for around $20, normally the set's going to have 4 looms in them. Some sets have 2, it just, you know, it depends on the manufacturer. But for dolly purposes, you want the small loom. And like I said, play around with the different types of yarn and thicknesses. Just depends, and you know, see what works for you. What do you like one over the other? Here's a hat I made using chunky yarn, and this is actually really, it's acrylic, but it's really kind of cool yarn. I got it from a you would not find this at most big box stores. This I got from a yarn shop, and I might go back and get some more of this because this turned out, I made a hat for myself, and then I still had plenty to make a little dolly hat or 2. So yeah, so once you go, again, this is not a tutorial, I'm just giving you a general rundown. Don't give me any thumbs downs because you're not learning how to make a hat step by step. That's not the purpose here. Once you get it as long as you want as far as the hat goes, and I'm making mine about 4 inches or so, you trim off about 10 inches, you add on your darning needle, and then you use this to pull off each of these all the way around. So you go through here and pull it off and go all the way around, pulling each one off the peg until you have what, like a drawstring effect, where you get it all off the loom, you pull on this to create a drawstring. Now there is an inside and an outside. This is the outside of the hat. This is what the inside of the hat looks like. So when you're doing the drawstring part and finishing off one side, that's how the top of the hat is finished off. You want to make sure that when you pull through and you pull it tight, and then you put a knot and, you know, weave through the ends a little bit at the top, that you do that on the ends, what's going to be the inside of the hat. Otherwise, if you have anything hanging out, it's not going to look very good. You trim it off, flip it over, and now you can see the top of the hat. Now, if you notice on here, I have a little bit of string to start, you know, a little bit of thread out here. This is non-working tail, okay? And I always leave about 6 to 8 inches of tail whenever I'm doing any type of yarn crafting. Same kind of thing, once you're done with taking it off and you've drawstringed it up and all that good stuff, you take your darning needle, put it on here, you weave it in a little bit to kind of just make it disappear, and then you trim it off. The reason why you don't just cut it off here is because if it starts to unravel a little bit, it's just going to keep going and going and going. You want to weave it in a little bit to keep it from doing that. That's just general yarn crafting, you know, 101 there. That's not anything just specific to any loom. That's just anytime you knit or crochet, you should do that. So yeah, I've been really happy with the cute little hats I've been making. There's lots of possibilities. I even thought about maybe embellishing them, adding some little buttons. Like I have been doing that with my I've been crocheting some beanies too and adding, like here's a really cool looking button I added. So I think you could do the same kind of thing with these hats, you know, add buttons, little flower embellishments, you know, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's how I make these adorable little knit loom hats for my dolls. And I don't know if I'm going to sell these or not. Right now I'm just making them for fun, and I definitely recommend, if you have been wanting to try to make some sort of little hat for your doll, probably a knit loom is one of the easiest ways to go if you have never crocheted or knitted before. As I said, you can find most big box type of crafting stores are going to have them. Oh, and don't forget that coupon. My set, like I said, was about $20, but I had a 40% coupon, and most places like Michael's, AC Moore's, and you know, some of the bigger, AC Moore's not a huge craft store, but some of the main craft stores like that will have 40 and 50% off coupons on a weekly basis that you can print up or download on your iPhone, and get, you know, a percentage off. So by that time, I think I ended up paying around $10 finally, because I had a 50% off coupon. Oh, Joann's, that's another place you might be able to find these. So I hope you give it a try. If you have any questions, go ahead and feel free to add them to the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. But as I said, this is kind of just a quick and dirty of how I make these hats, because I had a few people asking me about them when I posted pictures on Facebook. And that's it. Have a wonderful Dolly Day. Thanks for watching. Of course, I always appreciate a share and a subscribe. Bye.